I joined Doc because I like the team. It's fun to work with pleasant people, but also because I really buy into this vision for a SaaS platform that makes it easy for institutions and for organizations to work with verifiable data and integrate that into their business processes. What I didn't realize at the time was how complete the stack is. It's a full stack solution. Yeah, the and each of the technical pieces fit that. I was surprised to learn that our blockchain teams already implemented a lot of these cryptographic primitives that on other teams I was on we were hoping to build, but here we've already got them. Substrate is a solid base to build these decentralized capabilities. The certs web interface is a really powerful interface for solution design. It allows you to do a lot of complicated things in a visual way that makes it easy to onboard and explain to new developers how to create these solutions. Our non-custodial holder wallet is a real edges with keys at the edge solution that allows people to own their credentials and manage them, and it's fairly easy to use, and we have a white label solution and we can embed it. That took a long time to build on other teams, and the people who are using these APIs regularly say, it's easy to issue, it's easy to verify, it makes sense, and taking them through the process, they pick it up pretty quickly. And this entire stack already benefits from feedback from people using it in production. And it's fun to see that level of real world, products always change when you start hitting reality. And we've already gone through some of that process. And Mike, I appreciate that the team already is comfortable supporting this 24/7. It's nice to know when we have these emergencies, there's processes in place. It's not the first time we've done this. That brings me much comfort when I'm talking to customers and working on the product plan. So yeah, I've really enjoyed joining Doc, not only because the vision, which is fantastic, but also to find we're further along than I expected when I joined. It's a really solid foundation for a 2024 becoming the best year the Doc's ever had, and I'm excited to be part of that team. Now, I was very surprised, Mike, as I was looking at your list of accomplishments for your team this year, how much of that was 2023. I didn't, a lot of these things I thought had been around longer. Why don't you take us through the list of accomplishments your team can brag about this year?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, as you say, we have a full stack, and at the end of 2022, you could argue we sort of had a full stack. We had certs, we had the API, we had the wallet. They didn't really play together as well as you would have liked at that point. So I think one of the early themes for 2023 was the integration between our own tooling to make sure it was smoother and easier to use. So one of the first things we started working on was the idea of it being able to issue from certs or the API directly into the holder wallet. So you get rid of the need for QR code scanning and clumsy passing files around and that kind of thing. So that was a major piece for us, was be able to just, as soon as you say issue this credential to this DID, have it magically show up in that person's wallet, was a major thing for us as far as making usability and much simpler to use. So once we had that, that was great. But then we ran out of a situation. Well, what if we don't know information about the holder, and the issuer needs a little more information about the holder before they can issue the credential? How do you do one of that? So then we started working on this flow, which we called an issuance request flow, where the issuer can say, these are all the details I have, and these are the details I need, and then the holder can scan a QR code and provide those details, and then get a credential issued automatically to their wallet. So sort of tying up that issuance piece to make it a much smoother thing to connect the holder and the issuer together in a much more seamless way, and just make everything just simpler in the way you think it should work. Make it work that way. So that was a really big piece. And then the next part of sort of rounding out that trust triangle thing was the verification piece. So we already had, again, some tooling that would allow you to do verification if you had a JSON file or something. But again, that's not user friendly. Not many people know what they're doing when you start talking about JSON files. Like, I'm sure people watching this are going, Mike, when you're talking about what's a JSON file, it doesn't really matter. It's a representation of the data. So we built in, again, the idea of having the verifier be able to define what they needed from someone. So, what credential they needed to be, like a university degree or a birth certificate or whatever type it is, and then what attributes of that degree they care about. So if they need a date of birth, they needed a date of graduation, whatever the details might be they want. To be able to define those so that when a holder is then ready to do something with that credential, so say, maybe I want to show I'm old enough to get into a casino or something like that, they could scan one of these verification templates, again, QR code, and then in their phone, in a mobile wallet, go through, you're asking me for my date of birth. Well, here's my credential as my date of birth. I'll send it to you, and then the verifier can say, okay, yeah, this person legitimately is old enough to come into this casino and let them in. So it's again automating that flow back and forth between the verifier and the holder to make it simpler to do that, more seamless, one touch in your phone kind of thing as much as we can. So it also it pulled all those pieces together to really get that whole, the trust triangle complete between the issuer, the holder, and the verifier in automated ways using the tooling we had. So for me, that was the first half of the year, and that was very huge. Just to be able to say, yeah, we've got a product suite that you can use and that it satisfies the needs you need in a usable way. So that's one of my biggest things for this year was sort of all that we did there. But of course, that's not all we did. We had a whole lot more going on, as you sort of alluded to there, Richard. So one of the big things in this space and one of the most important things for anyone in this space is the idea of privacy. So protecting the holder's privacy, allowing them to have control over who sees what data and when they see it and that sort of thing. So we already had support for anonymous credentials and zero knowledge proofs by the end of last year, but it wasn't fully rolled out through our product. So this year we brought it into the API more fully. We brought it into the mobile phone and the wallet app. So now when you are presenting that verification for your data for verification, you can choose. Do I actually want them to see my date of birth, or do I just want them to see that I am actually over the age of 18, if that's what they need? And it gives you so much more power as an individual to sort of be able to say, yes, here's the information you need from me that you can trust, but you don't need to know the specific details about it. And it gives so much more power back to the user and to the holder. And I think as this industry grows and as we go forward, I think it's a major thing that we get away from the honeypots of data and the data mining on individuals and all that kind of thing. So I think being able to support zero knowledge proofs with with things like range proofs and selective disclosure and all those sorts of functionality that we have now is massive, and it really does expand what we can do and the use cases we can support, and helps reach that goal, the dream of where we're all trying to get to for self-sovereign identity and individual control of their information. So to me, that's another one of the major things that we're doing, and I think it's helping us achieve our goals. Now, beyond that, Aline already sort of mentioned the Polygon ID thing. We did work towards more interoperability pieces. That's obviously a very big, obvious interoperable piece we've done, but we've also done more work around some of the standards we support around, what types of replication things we do, some of that sort of thing. We've worked on bringing more of those standards in, and we're going to keep working towards more standard support as we go forward. But that I think is important too, to make sure that while we're busy doing our own thing, and I was just talking about how great it is that our own tooling all talks to each other, which is great. As we go forward, talking to other tools, other systems will be important too. So making sure we're not forgetting that is important too. So we have continued working down that path as well. And then going forward, even more sort of to what Richard was saying with customers being on board and giving us feedback, it's really opened up our eyes to some features that maybe we weren't sure we needed, or we didn't know if we were going to do it right away. And we're like, no, we had customers asking for these. So some of those sorts of features that were really customer requests are things like team management. So the idea that if you have an organization come in, they won't just have a single individual using our system or configuring things in our system, that they'll have a team, and those teams need to be able to work together on common schemas and design templates and that kind of thing. So bringing team management was a big goal for this year and a big thing that came from user feedback. We also have the idea of sub accounts. So for a customer like Burseki, which we mentioned earlier, they can have their main account, which is them, but then if they've got customers of theirs who want to be represented individually within our system, they can create those as a related sub account, which is really cool functionality as well. That was really important to get out. And then some other added extra things we did was we added the ability to define a schema sort of visually through UI. So data schemas are the way you define what data is in a credential. They can be kind of complex, and if you have to deal with it by hand, it's painful. I don't like doing it myself. So we built a tool just to make it nice and simple to sort of say, yeah, I need you to be able to have a date of birth in here. I need you to have this date or this time or whatever details are in there, names, whatever included in there defined well. So having that tool, I think, just makes the entire system easier to define, easier to manage, and easier to understand what you're dealing with. So I think those are sort of some highlights for me. I mean, we've done a whole lot this year. We did a lot in the year before. We did even more this year, I think. It's kind of amazing to see what the team can accomplish. I'm really proud of the team of what we built. But I know that we're not done. We got a lot to go. And I think, Richard, I'm going to throw it back over to you to sort of talk about what the vision is and where we're going next year.
Thank you. And is you mentioned getting feedback from customers who want to onboard their customers. That's going to take some thinking about how we manage that experience in our platform. We're going to spend some time there. Alina mentioned some of these customer projects that we're looking forward to completing that we can announce in the future. But it's caused us to focus on improving the usage of our products in regulated industries at scale. So we got to do a lot of under the hood work for that. Infrastructure improvements, being able to prove that our product scales and is supportable and resilient to the effect that these customers are confident moving to production. And as well as continuing to refine that user experience, our APIs, responding to feedback on how we can make things even easier to use, especially when you're doing a complicated setup. And our mobile SDKs, of course, making it easier to embed those into a third-party wallet so our customers they have their existing apps, and we want to make it easy to add credential capability to those apps. Now, that's a lot of work, even when we talk about in vague terms. I can see Mike starting to sweat a little bit as we talk about some of these things. In our public roadmap, we listed some features we're excited about, but we want to make sure we focus on getting these customers to production first. So delegation, which is really useful for staff credentialing, traceable credentials, which is really important for supply chain use cases, CIRCOM proofs that allow you to do really complicated proof. It's a language that lets you do really complicated proof scenarios. Those features we're excited about. We still want to do. We started them, but we're going to make sure we get these current projects to a public release before we come back to those. Now, there's another project we had on the roadmap, which is our Ethereum bridge, and that deserves a little more explanation. It's a cool technology. We got it working, and we're excited about it, but recent hacks of crypto bridges do make us pause and say, we got to get through a security review. Is it really going to provide enough value to be worth the potential security risks? We're not going to move forward until we're confident that it's not going to undermine the security of the token. So it's still there. We still intend to move it forward when the timing is right and when there's demand and when we can better see how other crypto bridges have worked in the industry. At that point, we'll be a lot more confident that we're doing this in a way that keeps everybody, all of our token holders, safe and supports that underlying chain, the blockchain that underpins everything. Now, those roadmap items I listed that we're postponing, that does give us time to work on some new features. And I'm really excited, but I'm going to pause and save that for the roadmap update in January. But we've been working on a lot of stuff we're excited to share. So we're gonna let everybody enjoy their holiday season in January. We'll kick off the new year with some exciting announcements. And you're going to see
teasing them, Richard.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, nice cliffhanger there, Richard.
Yeah, cliffhangers. You're teasing everyone. So yeah, stay tuned. Come back.
Exactly. On next week, you'll find next month on the same channel, you'll get to hear some what we got. We're going to go through the roadmap in more detail, and I expect you'll find when we talk about 2024 being the best year ever, you'll see why we're claiming that.